Like I said, we are down to the ditty gritty, and today is closing arguments. They said that all of Sean's family members are there. They took their seats in the second row, that there's a nervous energy in the room, and that Sean just put his hand over his heart and gave his family a nod. We're starting with the prosecution's closing arguments, so I'll give you that summary. After the lunch break, I'll do the defense's summary closing arguments. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christie started with Sean used his business empire as a criminal enterprise for sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. She addressed the jury by painting Sean as the leader of the criminal enterprise, one who engaged in bribery, attempted arson, to name some of his alleged crimes. At the core of the enterprise was sex trafficking. She told the jury that Sean manipulated both Cassie and Jane through power, violence, and fear, and he doesn't take no for an answer. Sean had exhibited shockingly similar violent behavior for years. The prosecutor brought up the 2016 beating of Cassie at the Intercontinental Hotel and the 2024 choking and slapping of Jane, bringing up that Sean leaned heavily on those closest to him to loyally carry out all of his orders. I'm talking about the defendant and his trusted inner circle. He was the head and it existed to serve his needs. Sean was powerful in his own right, but through his support of his business became even more dangerous, highlighting the concept of a criminal enterprise, a group of people together to protect Sean's power, reputation, and to help fulfill all his desires. Young and eager staffers hungry to break into the world of music were always at Sean's beck and call. These young assistants didn't blink an eye and did whatever it took to make Sean happy. Employees were paid by Sean's companies, then turning work resources into fuel for his crimes. She told the jury to use common sense against the defense's claim that a criminal enterprise didn't exist. When a person agrees to their boss' demand to buy rugs, they are agreeing to a crime. When a person locks their boss's girlfriend in a room after he stomped on her face, that person is agreeing to commit a crime. And that is agreeing to participate in an enterprise. She urged jurors to pay attention to a map when they look back at Sean's alleged crimes. When SMEX workers were paid to cross state lines or cell phones were used, those acts amounted to violations of interstate commerce law. And that quantity doesn't matter when defining rug distribution. When Sean's staff moved a single pill or 1,000 at his order, those actions are criminal. When he gave rugs to Cassie and Jane, this is rug distribution, plain and simple. They then break down the 4 elements of racketeering. First is conspiracy to participate in a criminal enterprise, which she insists Sean's employees did by agreeing to help him commit crimes. Second and third elements are the impact on state and foreign commerce, and that Sean was knowingly part of an enterprise. Sean arranged for SMEX workers and rugs to travel across state lines and through the line of his business. The fourth element is that the enterprise agreed to commit at least 2 crimes under the RICO Act. Crimes related to rugs, sex trafficking, bribery, and arson, as they helped cover up these alleged crimes. Rugs were an essential part of freak-offs, so he and his staff were involved in buying and distributing. The defendant restricted the movement of others at least 3 times, which were all examples of kidnapping. After beating Cassie in 2009, he forced her to stay in the hotel room until her wounds were healed. Capricorn Clark, who was forced to go to Kid Cudi's. Prosecutors said Sean was 100% behind the arson of Kid Cudi's car. The arson was designed to show that no one who crosses Sean gets away with it. The hotel beating cover-up was the example of bribery, as Sean allegedly paid the security guards to get that video. Sean and his inner circle refused to take no for an answer. His employees would stop at nothing to keep the video from getting to law enforcement. She's now breaking down the elements of sex trafficking, that Sean used force, fraud, and coercion to get the women to sleep with sex workers in his fueled freak-offs. Prosecutor noted that coercion is more complicated. It can mean that the victim believes refusal would subject her to physical, psychological, or financial harm. Prosecution then shows 27 headshots of men that were hired for Smex for freak-offs. Prosecutors said that Sean groomed Jane for his sexual desires. Prosecutors reminded jurors that Sean allegedly threatened Jane with Smex videos if she didn't stay in line, and how he frequently arranged for transportation for freak-offs. During all of this, they said that Sean looks defeated, that he's sitting back, head down, hands in his lap, and occasionally looks up at jurors. They reminded the jury that Jane wanted to stop doing freak-offs, but he coerced her to continue. They brought up the fact that after the raids on his home, he was still violent and how he had beat Jane in June 8th of 2024. At this point, they break for lunch. You know I'll be back in the afternoon with the rest of today's recap.